Welcome to my show. Welcome to my channel. This is the Hermetic Earth School. This is Ascension. Going to break down this map a little bit, um, fill in the gaps of what's taking place today, and what a lot of people don't understand. The Rainbow Prophecy, Turtle Island, all of the prophecies of what stuff is. A lot of people looking into ancient history to try and see what's happening today. Some are on point, some ignore it. But the one thing that people don't understand is the land that they're walking on, because of the reality that they were born into. Being born into this timeline of blood sacrifice and being born into blood sacrifice and the fallen realms, and people can talk on fallen angels and stuff, but it's we're kind of stuck in the upside down world. People can't comprehend. The rainbow's upside down, the moon is upside down, stuff like this. So things needed to take place to reverse things, because if we're in a timeline of black magic, that means that the Mother Earth and everything, symbolism is turned upside down, the pentagram and stuff, because it is a proper alignment. It is a proper alignment with the universe when everything is in balance. When all the symbols come back into play, because people have forgotten their symbols. So, you're born into this timeline and so forth. So the mind control, the satanic technology is at play. Demonic activity is fully active due to the door being closed, them being removed from building the temple, as people would know. That's the saying, right? King Solomon and building the temple. But the comprehension, so a lot of people look outside of themselves into ancient history across the pond when it comes to Egypt and Jesus and everything taking place over there. But people don't know that they don't know what took place in America 2,000 years ago, when all of that was happening over there 2,000 years ago. So there's a lot of missing history, and you have pressure points, and you have these cities that were built, certain locations around the world. You have the ley lines, and you have all this stuff, and so you have to go back into time and think that, okay, well, this is America. People are talking about Atlantis. People are talking about Lemuria, spiritual warfare. We've gone back into time and reversed stuff, reversed black magic and taken back the symbols and lifted up the feminine, and Mother Earth, Gaia, she's been lifted up and she is protected and has returned back to her father. This tying the knot, so forth. So when people talk on the Ouroboros and the symbolism, it does wrap around Mother Earth, and there is an opening to it. In the opening, when you look at the Serpent Mound, and then you look at Pennsylvania, and you look at stuff like that, you have the dragon, you have the Finger Lakes, dragon, Dragon Claw, and the Serpent Mound, and it reflects more than what people think. So the Mississippi is actually the Nile River, and everything like east. If you were to look at the Acadian National Park and you look at the Acadian line, it's like everything east of this line is Atlantis. If you look at the waters of Florida and the islands, everything is blue and turquoise and baby blue. But if you come up into the far northeast, it's a little dirty. There's a lot of stuff around Philadelphia, and everything from the Caribbeans coming up the Mississippi and then up into Maine. This line, the 13 colonies, reflecting the 13th missing month of the Mayan calendar. And what it does is it reflects the dragon line, because if you look here, the dragon line that runs up to Alaska and crosses over the mound into the northeast and stuff, it's where the dragon line and the rose line cross in the northeast, and it's as above so below. So you have stuff, the Finger Lakes, and then you have like Salem, Massachusetts, and you get up into Acadia. There's a lot of everything on the East Coast. There's a lot of old remnants of Atlantis, and where two lands collided. And so them today attempting, you think of building the cities, and there's coming out of the water, there's conspiracy, there's rumors, there's books, talks about where the first man came out of the water, and the first mountains came out of the water, being the Allegheny Mountains, western Pennsylvania, and the little north of Pennsylvania, and the whole thing with the Serpent Mound. But if you look at the reflection of, say, the Big Bang and a volcano, and you put two and two together, people's mind think that the Big Bang is out there somewhere in the universe. But if it's coming through a porthole, and if it's coming through the water, you look at the ice, you look at how once everything was frozen, and there's the whole thing with Enoch, and the whole thing with the fairy tales of behind the ice wall. You look at the Blue Kachina, you look at the universe, because the universe is cold, and lava, heat, it's not, it comes from below, but the fire itself is created from water, because it's all an element. But so there's magma moving, and if you look at this Acadian line, it goes down into Mexico, and mercury flows under this Acadian line, and this is the Iron Shield, and the mercury in the water transforming into gold, because if you think about the gold under the ground, the gold that grows, the gold that the El Dorado in Northern California, or even in Peru and in Mexico with the gold, there was a lot of gold, and wherever else in America, but it's the location of where they came. They came into the Caribbean, and they came into Philadelphia, two main portholes, from Atlantis, getting into Lemuria, because you have to be able to, um, you know, I've had a lot of inner visions of things and a lot of stuff. If you think about Aztec and Inca and all of this other stuff, going back into time where there were temples, and not just in South America, because that's the part of where there's no temple is where the battle was at. So the real battle. And you look at Lancaster, you look at the Northeast, and everything like that, because there's been a lot of energies coming forth down from South America, and earthquakes that have happened down in South America that do reflect back up into here, because this is the Kundalini rising, and the Kundalini rising through Mother Earth reflects certain locations within the Gnosis, within the Ouroboros, within the Maya's calendar of what once was and where we're returning back to. It's within and without, as above, so below. The Bermuda Triangle, which links to Etoria, within the hermetic mechanisms of the inner Merkaba of Mother Earth, because you have this Akkadian line and the Iron Shield and pressure points. When people look at the sacred geometry and the design of temples and the design of what once was, on how humans knew what everything meant, and the sun cross being on cave, in caves and on the ground and everything like that, because it's the center point of creation, the sun cross, and people not understanding that it doesn't matter what language you speak, it comes down to your sun cross and your inner coordinates to getting back into heaven on earth, because we've fallen, and the consciousness of humanity is 0 to none now, but we, the Rainbow Warriors, Rainbow Tribe of One Nation, of Mother Earth, light workers, starseeds, coming into a higher frequency, can see things that a lot of people can't. We are experienced souls who are willing to stand up for what is right. But the entrance into the Hyperborealis, when everyone looks at the Nazis in World War II, what they attempted to do, but it's all back over here in the Northeast, because the real traveling from Atlantis to Lemuria is up in Maine, and going back into the timeline of Atlantis, of realigning the poles, taking a trip out to the location where the moon aligns with the water, the magnetic pole, which aligns, you see here the Akkadian line, and there's a lot of stuff, pressure points and so forth. But the volcano, the Big Bang, happened under your feet. It didn't happen above you. The entrance into heaven, the Pleiadians, are as above, so below, aligned, above I-80. the Native American line. It's complicated, but you see the road traveled out west. You see Emerald Bay, you see Emerald Triangle, you see the Golden Gate Bridge, the El Dorado, the Grand Teton Tree. We're just a pea, and so people in America, looking outside of themselves, into Mexico, into Peru, into South America, and the people today being manipulated by not understanding where they are consciously, because the overlapping of these cities and the suppression and the spiritual bars that have come down on the mind within the manipulation of the DNA over these generations. It doesn't matter if you're 100% Irish, it doesn't matter if you're 100% German, 100% Native American, 100% African. It doesn't matter what you are, where you come from. They've gotten into every culture, every tribe, and there's only a handful left, truly, who hold the magnetic keys to what the spiritual truth is of Mother Earth and the sacred water, because everything, we were close to losing everything, and this is to how would one know what the end days look like and feel like and are if they've never experienced it, and that's the part where you're seeing such manipulation in these end days, and people not understanding the truth of the Orange Man, the truth of Trump, playing a certain role of a trickster to manipulate and keep things confusing when because people are confused when Babylon falls, and we everyone looking to the west and the Ring of Fire and all these earthquakes over there and in Russia and in California, Hawaii and Indonesia. But we're starting to rumble here on the East Coast, North, the Carolinas and up in Maine. They talk on Iceland and, earthquakes in Greenland and the Caribbean's having earthquakes in Mexico, but to truly coming into the center point of where scripture, where everything comes down, because you have spiritual symbolism, you look at there's so much. So, the magnetic poles, the moon, the water, out in Maine, off the coast, going back in time, back to the Atlantis timeline, which took place last year. And, the planets move on a daily basis. And, people only know the lower planets. They only can reflect their chakras, within the planets. We've traveled Pluto 1776, and people can't comprehend on the 1776 of Philadelphia, of going backwards in time, so it's moving beyond and into these other planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and transitioning what Neptune was and the frequencies of these Greek wars, and if you go into the storyline of what it truly means within Neptune and these frequencies of the threshold, and what it really means with Uranus and Mercury and Gaia, and that isn't below, it is above, because Mercury is the only one that can go up and down the ladder, as the Kundalini says. So it's Osiris. It's an Osiris thing, and that's a lot of it too. People don't know about the gods. They don't know the reflection. They don't know the astrological alignments and the zodiac spiritual animals. It's too much for people to comprehend, because their mind has been corrupted by Satan. These are the end days. This is your threshold of wisdom and knowledge. Where do you reside? Because America is being judged, because they have ignored the world. America is the Luciferian capital of the world, and the people that live here don't have a clue. People are awakening to the truth now. They're awakening, but there's a situation, just like you see in other countries, where the people have migrated into Europe, where they've migrated into certain countries. There are certain situations that are taking place today. It's all a repeat of ancient history. And what is coming to America can't be comprehended, because you have a situation where people talk about Jesus, they talk about Christ, but they're not in the frequency of him, because there is something that needs to be purged from humanity. There's something that Americans need to experience before returning back into heaven on earth. They must witness something, just like something that happened 2,000 years ago, something that had happened in the Nordic times, something that happened in Egypt, Africa. What happened to the natives? What happened to all of the tribes? People have forgotten. They have forgotten what has happened. And people live in the sacrificed blood of their ancestors today. This is why no one can see spiritually. All they see is red. And they wonder why their society is the way that it is. People wonder. But there's a situation. The frequencies of today reflect ancient history. They reflect the Mayan times. What has come into America reflects the Mayan times, because the temple, the true temple, is in America. The entrance point is on the East Coast, from the Caribbeans up to the East Coast, to the west. You see the blue Kachina. Why do you think the blue Kachina came? But all people do is they look at it in a Native American Southwest sense. Only the people in Arizona, only those people saw it. Nobody knows what came out of it, though. It's blue. Water came from outer space. Kind of like this Atlas, Comet Atlas today. We'll see what happens with that. So you look at the directions, and you look at everything. Where's God's kingdom? Where's the entrance point into the area? Because in people's consciousness, they look outside, either to the east or to the west. But no one knows what's under their feet, if it's within the as above, so below realms. Because everything took place here. And everything's going to finish here. Because these situations, if you see today in America, people are so clueless of what's going on. This is America's wake-up call for ignoring the world. It's because they allowed this to overtake them. And they refuse to speak about it. They refuse to say anything. They refuse to unite over things that matter. Food and children, the feminine. The porthole west, from one realm to another, from Atlantis to Lemuria. So there's the magma moving. This one really goes out to JWTV. You know, he's really on his game. Yeah, he's been sent for some stuff. On point. But that's what this is. The Acadian Mountains, Bluestone. You have this Acadian line, which is the same stone, same rock as Bluestone. It's the same stuff as Australia. And, you know, a lot of people in Australia, New Zealand, you know, there's a lot of people are Balditoria, you know, but there's a lot of people who can't see, you know, into America, because America is, you know, it is what it is. You know, and not, when you're born into this realm and you don't know anything about ancient history and you don't do any research and, you know, not trying to figure anything out, you know, you just really don't know what to say. And that's the part, you know, no one can have this conversation with me because they don't know. So there's a temple in the northeast of America. Once was a temple, and mud floods came, and, you know, volcano came through it, and, you know, an explosion happened, you know, and all this craziness stuff. You know, rivers started running the other direction. It's confusing, complicated, you know. Maybe we were all stacked like pancakes, right? America, Europe, Africa, Australia, all stacked on top of each other. Who knows? 7-layer pancake. One big temple. Earthquake happened. Volcano happened. Who knows? But have a good day.